Hello and welcome to A Lonely Critic. My name's Anthony Renteria, and today I just wanted to do a little special update on a film club. I think I talked about this in my reintroduction video not too long ago, but I wanted to just officially just kind of talk about it, chit chat a little bit about my ideas and hopes and aspiration and dreams for this film club. I wanted to do a film club because I haven't seen a lot of films. I have a huge blind spot. Anything I just haven't. Oh shit. So yeah, anything pre-2000s I just haven't seen. One of the biggest blind spots that I have is Alfred Hitchcock. I have never seen an Alfred Hitchcock film. So as a film lover and enthusiast, it's just been so weird calling myself that, and I haven't seen, one of the greatest of all time. So I thought I need an excuse to watch his movies. I like watching people's movies in chronological order. It's just something I have I have a thing for that. Very weird. But even when I find a new director, for example, the Safdie brothers, I remember I watched Uncut Gems and I was like, ooh, I need to go back from the beginning and watch all their work. And it took me hours and hours to hunt down their YouTube channel. The point is, when I find a new director that I love, I always want to go back to the beginning and see their their creative arc. I have a huge fascination with filmographies and bibliographies, but as a whole, I see creators as an entire life of work versus one work, which is so weird because I feel like most people that I interact with and that I know, they see the opposite. They even an artist, let's say a musician, it's one song that defines them or one album. But for me, it's I just see the totality of their work, and maybe that's because I'm a aspiring artist or a writer, and I hope that's what people get out of my stuff is an entire life of work versus just one work. If you wrote one phenomenal book, I would rather respect for all the work versus one. But then also something I always think about, how do I make work that supports each other? If that makes sense. How do I write one piece and then the next piece is almost a supplemental or a response or a reaction to the previous piece? That's something that's always fascinated me. And I think it happens naturally with creators, subconsciously and just on their life journey. So I don't think it has to be something that's in the front of your mind, but for me, kind of is front of my mind when I'm thinking about it. Well, how does this novel fit with the whole plan that I have? Anyways, enough about me. So that's kind of the why I wanted to start this thing, because I have a huge blind spot and I want to start with Alfred Hitchcock. Obviously, the second one is going to be Kubrick. I've never seen a Stanley Kubrick film, so that has to be the second one. I just wanted to kind of talk about the movies of Hitchcock. See, I can't really talk about Hitchcock because I've never seen any Hitchcock. Obviously, I know of Hitchcock. I've seen so many scenes from his films, but never in the actual film. Through film essays on YouTube or through film critiques or film reviews or all kinds of pieces that I've read online. So I feel like I have an idea of what Hitchcock is and what he stands for and his style, what he created, as the Hitchcock thriller. I understand all that stuff. So it's going to be exciting to finally experience it firsthand and see what my perspective and takes on it are. So he is a very prolific filmmaker, and that's something I did not realize. I thought maybe he made 20 films. But what's so crazy is back in the day, filmmakers would just crank stuff out and just pump films out. And just from the list that I have, and that's the other thing, if anything in my list is wrong or there's a film that I'm missing, please let me know in the comments. Please email me or send me a tweet or message me on Facebook or whatever you got to do. Please correct me, because I've tried to find the definitive list. There are a bunch of films early on in his career that are lost or damaged, so I might be missing some, but I think I have a list. And then some of these films on this list, I haven't double checked all of them. I just went through the process of finding the first one, because there was 3 or 4 before the first one that's widely available that don't exist. So I'll have to see if the second one and the third one, all that kind of stuff. But I just want to kind of give an overview of his career. So he's directed 53 films, which is insanity. I mean, wow. And that's between the decades of the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s, and then he made 2 films in the 1970s, which was kind of the end of his career. And I guess as we're talking about the films, maybe we can give some biography elements. Maybe. I don't know. I don't really like talking about artists' life because I feel like it's very limited perspective. How do you know anything about his life but just what other people say of their life, and then is that even accurate? I don't know. So maybe we'll talk talk about a couple things if it has to do with the films, but mainly we'll probably just focus on the films themselves and critiquing the films and critiquing his growth as an artist. Like, oh, from this film to this film, we can talk about that. But then also do like normal reviews of the pieces. I know like towards the end of his career was not a very happy person, and I think he was like a pretty severe alcoholic, which probably, if not was the cause of his death, definitely impacted it probably to an extent. So we'll get to that when we get there. So I just want to show the filmography that I have. So I have 53 films across 6 decades of work. And this is kind of the list that I have currently. So those are the top 10, or the not top 10, the first 10: The Pleasure Garden, and The Mountain Eagle, The Lodger, Downhill, Easy Virtue, The Ring, Farmer's Wife, Champagne, The Manx Man, and Blackmail. So those are the first decade of his career, which is from 1925 to 1929, beginning with The Pleasure Garden. So that's the film I'm about to watch right now, is his first widely available film, The Pleasure Garden. I'm not sure when sound came into film, but I know a lot of these, if not all the 20s, are going to be silent films, but I'm not sure. You can correct me, and I mean, we'll find out when we get there. But I know like Pleasure Garden, I know that's a silent film, so a couple of these might be silent. I'm really excited to jump into this journey. I've never seen a silent film, so that's going to be the other thing. Just to kind of give like, how am I going to critique these films? Am I going to critique them and like the impact and the history? And I don't think I will. I think there's plenty of people who already do that, who are much more intelligent than I am, and who are way more sophisticated in the history of cinema and the impacts and all that stuff. If you're looking from like an educational perspective of this, I don't think I'm going to go that route, because I like talking about things that impact me emotionally, because that's like where I learn to use those tactics and methods for my own work. So that's the perspective I'm going to look at it, is from a current day wannabe filmmaker, writer. Like, what am I getting out of his work? And like, what is his work doing to me emotionally that I think is effective? So like, I'm not gonna talk about like, oh well, you know, this is important because X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna focus more on, did it impact me? So a lot of the reviews might be bad. I don't know. I haven't seen that many older films. I think like the oldest film I've ever seen is probably like, I don't even know what the oldest film I've seen is. I don't I was trying to think, like, I don't know, something in the 80s or 70s is probably like the oldest I've ever got. Yeah, so I mean, we're going down to the 20s. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing it from that perspective. So don't expect a super educational form of discussion. I mean, I hope can have that in the comments. Maybe if you are a huge Hitchcock enthusiast or expert, lover of film history, you can educate me on that. That would be awesome. But just so people know, my perspective is more of a current day, is it making me feel? I know when we get to later years, I know his films are just renowned as absolute masterpieces. So like, I think I'll love all that stuff. It's just these first 10 might be a little rough in his career because they're silent films, and I don't know my perspective of silent films. So it's gonna be like, if I like this film, you know, I'm gonna rate it comparatively to modern day films. So you know, that is what it is. I don't believe in things aging. Like, if something's really good, then I don't think it really ages, you know? At least that's my perspective. But then again, I haven't experienced things that have aged more than 30, 40 years, so we'll see. But yeah, so that's just the introduction to this Hitchcock thing. I'm really excited. So we're gonna start with The Pleasure Garden, work through his career chronologically on the release date of the films, and it's gonna be fun. So it's gonna be 53 videos for this man, and then we'll jump into Kubrick, which I think is less than 15 films for sure. I don't think he did more than 15, maybe even less than that. And then after that, who knows? I might start taking recommendations of what filmmakers y'all think I should experience next. Ooh, I know Akira Kurosawa is high on that list. Ozu is high on that list. Like, all the great classic. I think that's the thing that I could have a cool perspective on, is watching all these classic directors but from a modern lens versus the historical context that most people talk about. But yeah, so that's the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you could join me in this film club watch along. So watch The Pleasure Garden, hear me talk about it, or you can skip the ones you don't want to watch and just hear me talk about it and then watch them if you think they interest you. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and then check out all my other channels in the description, and we'll start watching a Hitchcock film every week.